Good morning and welcome to the 40th anniversary of National Crime Victims Week, which is commemorated on April 18th through the 24th this year. Since 1981, National Crime Victims Week has challenged the nation to confront and remove barriers to achieving justice for all victims of crime. Each year, communities across the country revisit the history of the victims' rights movement. We celebrate the progress made, and we recommit to further advancements in the service to the victims and their family members. This is a time to reflect on how far we have come in victim rights and the importance of victim services. We honor our community and continuing to make more positive changes to support victims. We honor those who have been victims. We honor their strength, their courage, and the resiliency to overcome adversity. And we honor their families, and we honor the families of those who have lost loved ones, and the courage and the strength of the survivors to continue. Today is a day that is humbling to see the courage of our victims and their family members. And it's also a day to say thank you to those who have made it their life's work and passion to serve the victims in our community. Now it is my honor to introduce Thomas Allen Jr. Thomas is a relationship guidance specialist at the Denver Indian Center. Mr. Allen is also a member of the Sac and Fox Nation of Oklahoma, the Northern Arapaho Tribe of Wyoming, and the Yuchi Tribe of Oklahoma. Mr. Allen was born and raised in the greater Denver area, and during his high school years he attended the Riverside Indian School. Over the many years Denver Indian Center has been around, Thomas has been a DICI participant in the Head Start program, the Summer Youth Job program, the Native Workforce program, and the Honoring Fatherhood program. Thomas is honored to serve the Native American community, and he's currently a data manager and a relationships guidance specialist for the Denver Indian Center. So Thomas, I'd like to welcome you. Please come up and
thank you for having me here today. I would just like to say a couple words. First off, a land acknowledgement. The land that we reside on, work, live, were the former homelands of many tribes, 27 documented here. I am a descendant of one of the tribes, the Northern Arapaho. I am descendant from the survivors of Sand Creek. So it is my honor here today to say thank you and to bring awareness and visibility to our Native American community by saying this land acknowledgement. There are various government and city organizations implementing these land acknowledgements. So again, I would just like to say thank you, acknowledging the land, and I'd like to say a few words blessing this event. Creator, I ask that you be with us today. I am grateful for the many gifts you give us in our daily life. The air, the earth, the water, and the many things we need to continue to survive and grow. May we all walk in beauty and receive your blessings today. I am grateful for the many things, especially this event today. I ask that you know and foster the goodness in all of our hearts today. I wholeheartedly ask these things in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Thomas. And now we are going to start the walk today. And thank you, everyone, for being here on such a beautiful day. And then it's an honor of victims today. And we'll have some more ceremonies after the brief walk. So thank you. was an enjoyable walk, very brief, but thank you to everyone who's here today to be part of this again. It's my pleasure to introduce our former District Attorney, Scott Storey, and probably one of the greatest champions of victim rights in our community, and he's a long history of serving our community, serving the victims and seeking justice. So Scott, it's my pleasure to introduce you. Welcome.
Well, Chief McCaskey, thanks for the nice introduction. I love the Courage Walk. I swear, I love it. And I have a couple of words to say to somebody very special. Now, I'm going to address her directly. I can find her. Where is she? Vista X-Line. Yes. Vista, I want to tell you one thing from the beginning. You are my hero. And you are the hero of many lives that you have touched. Victims, families, friends, and others in your illustrious 33-year career. I shouldn't have said 33 years. 33-year career. And you're the hero to so many. So let me start. I want to go through a couple things. You know, you can't really do this justice, but I'm going to try to do a little bit of a justice to it.
This is not my favorite, by the way.
You were the executive director of Victim Outreach for 33 years. And the thing about it is you, your staff, and the many volunteers through all those years built what is a small nonprofit into a giant resource for victims and for 8 police agencies over those years. Heck of a job. And I have a quote from one of the victims along the way that really kind of is the essence of victim outreach. This is the daughter and sister of 2 homicide victims at the hands of their father. And she said, you can imagine how horrific that was. She says, just who are these people? Anyway, those were my thoughts on the day my life changed forever. You don't know you're going to need their help, but when it happens to you, you're lost and you do not think straight. You can't think straight or see anything. At first you think, no way, no way. It took some time for me to learn just how important the people at Victim Outreach were to me and my family. I'm glad they were there through every stage, through every step. They helped me as much as they could. They helped me through legal questions, connecting me with people who could when they couldn't. They consoled us. They cared. That's the essence of Victim Outreach, and that's what you built. But, you know, that's not all you did in your career. I mean, you did things outside of Victim Outreach, as part of Victim Outreach, outside of Victim Outreach. And I'd like to just touch on a couple of those things. You were the mover and shaker in a lot of programs. And obviously, you have been just a strong advocate. When we talk about Victims' Rights Week, there's no stronger advocate for victims' rights than you. After all these years, you've been a strong advocate for victims' rights, and I know that. So let's talk about the community crisis response team that you developed, that you helped develop. And this happened, you know, after the horrific tragedy at Columbine High School in April of 1999. It was really one of the first real community crisis kind of things that involved so many agencies and so on. So Vista and others recognized we can do better after this was over. We can do better. We can cooperate better. We can collaborate better. to help victims if we get everybody together and have a protocol. And that was the genesis of the Community Crisis Response Team. Actually, it's the Jefferson-Gilpin County's Community Crisis Response Team. And so what they developed is a coordinated response to assist victims of community disasters. And so this has been going on for a long time. And involves, I think, up to almost 14 agencies. I don't know, but a lot of agencies that are involved in this. And they go through training. And it's a proactive approach to deal with victims in a community crisis. And it's a model. It's a model that should be emulated throughout the United States as far as I'm concerned. Here's one that I really like. It's called Adopt a Bear for Child's Sake. Adopt a Bear. What this is knowing, recognizing that kids are either directly related to a criminal crisis or collaterally. You know, they witness it and it's traumatic for them. So, and law enforcement has to deal with that because of the fact that they are usually the first responders. So donations were obtained to buy teddy bears. If you donate, you get 2 teddy bears. One you keep, called Officer Hugs. The other one, a law enforcement officer, police officer, has in his or her patrol car. So when they run into a situation where a child is traumatized, they pull out the teddy bear. And they pull out the teddy bear, and they sit down, they talk to the child, and they console the child. And it brings a little peace, and they say, it's going to be all right. And the T-shirt on the bear wears says, I got hugs from the police department. Here's one that I'm very much aware of. It's called the Sid Fund. Who is Sid? Sid is a cat. Okay. There is, and Vista recognized this a long time ago, a link between domestic violence and animal abuse. And this is a perfect example. It was a domestic violence case involving a victim who was abused. And the abuser not only abused the victim, but took the cat by the tail, if I remember right, and slammed it against the shower, seriously injuring this poor cat. Well, the cat survived, of course, went to the vet, but that cost a lot of money. So Vista started, with others, a fund to pay for those expenses. And that started the SID Fund. So now we have the SID Fund, and they accept donations. So when an animal is part of a crime or is injured during a crime, the SID Fund kicks in and takes care of that situation. I mean, that's just a couple of things, but I know where Vista's passion is. And her passion is all over the place with all these programs. But you know where her real passion is? It's right here. It's the Courage Garden. The Courage Garden was built 26 years ago. And there's something about this Courage Garden I think we all recognize. Anybody that's really come here, it's kind of like a spiritual aura about the Courage Garden. It's a place that's kind of a refuge for folks that have been victimized by crime, or have family members that have experienced loss. They can come here, seek some solace, and kind of try to if they can, make sense out of trauma and loss because of crime and victimization. It's a place where we remember, right? It's a place where we memorialize, right? How do we do that? Well, we plant flowers, bushes, trees, benches in honor of our victims. Now, how is that funded? Well, it's a Courage Walk. Now, I'll bet you did not know that the first Courage Walk, I didn't know this, was in 1994 at Crown Hill Park. That's the first Courage Walk. But every Courage Walk thereafter has been a pilgrimage here to the Courage Garden. It's an annual event, as Chief McCaskey articulated, it's an annual event coinciding with National Victims' Rights Week in April, and we do it every year. We've only missed, I think, really 1 year. Even when it snows, we do it. Rain, sleet, whatever. We missed the 1 year because of COVID last year, I believe. And here we are, though, today, in spite of a pandemic. You know, think about this walk. It brings all of us together. It brings victims. It brings victims' families and friends, and others that have been traumatized by or have lost people because of crime. It brings law enforcement. It brings victim advocates, all to honor victims, crime victims, and survivors. The Courage Walk. So, Vista, oh, you know, I know that you retired this year, last year. You retired after 33 years, right? You know, when you think about retirement, you kind of think about kind of an easy chair on a beach someplace, you know? Not Vista, no. No, and unfortunately last year we had a bad thing happen here at the Courage Garden. Last year, the heart of the Courage Garden was a gazebo, was burned down, all right? It was a total loss. Not only that, there was a few trees that were lost as well because of this. And that devastated us all, but it really devastated Vista. Now, Vista being retired, she could have walked away from that, right? She's retired. Not Vista. No. She then started another fundraising campaign. And because of her efforts, because of her commitment, because of her reputation, she was able to get the funds necessary to rebuild the Courage Garden. So there will be a ribbon cutting ceremony in the near future to introduce the new and improved Courage Garden. And we can't wait. And I know you can't wait to that day. Yeah. Cutting that ribbon. So, Vista, I want to thank you personally. We all want to thank you, Vista, for all that you've done all these years. You have made and impacted so many lives and really made a difference, not only in the criminal justice system, but really how we deal with victims in Jefferson, not just Jefferson and Gilpin County, but in, frankly, other areas as well. So that's all I have to say, except for you are my hero. So now let me do a couple things. I've never been known for my organization, so anyway. Now we have a plaque for you, and of course we're in a budget crisis, so this is the best we could do. Absolutely not. There will be a plaque. It's coming, and you will receive the plaque. And on that plaque, it's going to say, "Give it to the universe." For 33 years of heartfelt dedication and commitment, thank you for touching so many lives this day. So here's not the plaque, but what's going to be
the promise of the plaque.
We also you're going to plant a tree in your honor. Here, of your choice, you pick out the tree, and that's coming as well. That'll be part of the grand opening, I hope, of the Courage Garden. And there's also a memory book that's going to be given to you to really highlight some of the memories. And I bet that book is about that thick, but to highlight some of the memories in your illustrious career. And we also have one other thing. Flowers.
Yellow roses.
Yellow roses.
My mama's favorite.
There was. I want to end with, if I can find it. Oh, a quote that's on a plaque. Quote on a plaque at the Courage Garden. It's a good way to end this. in honor of Vista X-Line, the Courage Garden. This garden is dedicated to the innocent victims of crime, past, present, and future, to the wonder of the human spirit, to the courage of those who reclaim their lives and move beyond victimization, and to a hope for a safer future. Thank you, Vista. Now I want to gather my stuff and turn this over to Thomas Allen, who we're honored to have here today, and he's going to do a smudging ceremony.
Can I say one thing?
Oh, yes.
I'm not an attorney, so I won't talk a long time. But, you know, I mean, first of all, this has been a path of heart. My whole life, I have been lucky to have found a passion that always felt good. And when you talk about all the things I've done, part of what makes me uncomfortable is I did not do any of this alone. I mean, this is all, I look out and I see all of you, and I have 3 decades, most of you have been on this path with me. And I think about the survivors of crime who get up and stand again and learn to smile, and that has been the fuel for all of this. So I want to say thank you very much, and it's not just me, so thank you. I love you too.
Get out of your way here.
This means as much to me as anything right here.
Creative good in this world. We all need that. So it's an honor to do this to you. May the Creator bless you and walk with you this day. May you always walk in beauty this day. Thank you. I hope.
I went and put mascara on today. I shouldn't have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thomas, and thank you so much to Vista. This office, the District Attorney's Office, is great because of the work and the foundation that was laid by so many leaders, Vista being one. And so with that, I want to just thank everyone. My name is Alexis King. I'm the District Attorney here in Jefferson and Gilpin counties. Today, we're celebrating National Victims' Rights Week together. And our Colorado effort was set into law in the early 90s through the Colorado Victims' Rights Act. It was an attempt that we're still working on to make sure that victims that are going through the criminal justice process are treated with fairness, dignity, and respect. It is also to make sure that victims can be heard. Over the years, I've come to this Courage Walk to remember the victims that I worked with as a deputy DA here in the community. I think about their strength. I think about their frustration as they've gone through this court system. Some felt served and heard, many didn't, and all left with a deep understanding that this is a hard process and not always designed for healing. Because when we say victim, we're talking about someone who's experienced loss, hardship, and tragedy because of the choice of another person in the community. And it is something that they're going to carry with them forward. They do this with many others around them because we don't want folks to be alone. And so we have an amazing network of advocates from law enforcement to the DA's office and beyond that work with folks every day to make sure that we don't lose their voice, that they are treated with fairness and dignity and respect. And that those rights work to hold those with power accountable for their responsibilities under the VRA. As we take stock today, we can't ignore the impact of the pandemic on our work and our efforts and on our victims. For our advocates, many of whom it means taking what was once an incredibly personal relationship and putting it online or on a phone. And that's hard. It means that victims are listening into court hearings from the safety of their home, but they don't have anyone to turn to and whisper, why did the lawyer say that? Why did the judge make that choice? Here at the courthouse, things have changed too. We have the option to be online and to listen in, but our courtrooms are different. Courtrooms have never been a welcoming place. They're full of conflict and strife. The only people that really like courtrooms are lawyers, and it hasn't gotten any better with COVID. Now they walk into a sea of plexiglass and people in masks, and our capacity in the courtrooms are smaller. Where we once may have had victims bring family and friends and neighbors and therapists and pastors and Vista, we do not have the ability to bring in the community to stand with our survivors. And that has been incredibly hard. But the biggest impact is that it's slow. It is so slow right now. Yesterday, I spent time with a mother who had lost her son due to violence. And she felt so stuck. And she wanted this court process done a year ago. And here we are still waiting today. And for her, having the court process finish was such an essential part of her being able to focus and feel some closure. And this is where we are right now. It's having a huge impact on the victims of crime in our community. So as we look at Victims' Rights Week today, and we feel the pressure of the pandemic weighing on our victims and weighing on the system that doesn't always leave them feeling whole, I ask all of us to join in the mission to not leave a single voice behind despite the pressures that this pandemic has brought. We have great work to do. We have done great things, and we cannot leave a single voice behind despite what this pandemic has brought to our community. I look here and I see so much strength. I know we can do it together, but let's keep that at the forefront as we move forward from National Victims' Rights Week. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank those who organized and who are here today, and bring up Chief McCaskey from the Lakewood Police Department and Chief Bill Kilpatrick from the Golden Police Department.
So we're going to read names of victims. Randy Ackerman,
Geronimo Alvarado,
Miguel Angel Lamas Ariana,
Lisa Atterbury,
Christopher Avery,
William Bailey,
Sergeant Dave Baldwin,
Patricia Berger,
Kim Bilderback,
Kay Bodway,
Jacob Bowen,
Stephen Campbell,
Elia Castro,
Kendra Chavez,
Spencer J. Conan,
Renee Cooper,
Judy DeCroce,
Daniel Lewis DeMano III,
Peter Durbin,
Brandy Duvall,
Jesse Edmonds,
Abigail Eichon,
Cher Elder,
Bud Elmgren,
Kyla Flinchbaugh,
Ann Gibson,
Jada Glenn Turner,
Doyle Harrison,
Patricia Hearn,
Olivia Hector,
Jessica Rose Holman,
Oliver Hudson,
Ruby Jackson,
Christina Johnson,
Raymond Jutting,
Mackenzie Kingery,
Nadine Cruz,
Alexis Christek,
Patrick Lane,
Sky Lewis,
Liam Little and Lincoln Little,
Destiny Martinez,
Elijah Martinez,
Gary McLaughlin,
Fred Myers,
Kim Mylove,
Uriah Molina,
Rose Monick,
Sergeant Tim Mossbrucker,
Andre Nelson,
Hoey Nguyen,
Philip Penny,
Renee Perez,
Rosemary Philbrick,
Stanley Politano,
David Poston,
Mary Pott,
Aaron Rankin,
Jessica Ridgway,
Ricky Ritter,
Ivan Rodriguez,
Donnie Romello Romero Jr.,
Anthony Rudnick,
Canquan Smith,
Patricia Smith,
Jordan Sprouse,
Samara Sticklin,
Christine Thias,
Lauren Townsend,
Kelly Wahab,
Andy Warren,
Wally Wiegum,
Damian Wyckoff,
Dylan Wyckoff,
Roberta Worrell,
Cassandra Young,
and Justine Younger.
Now we are going to have the dove release in honor of our victims.
Hi guys. So when I let the birds go, they are going to come right here into your faces. So if we can make a little bit of a parting in the way for the birds. We don't want any of them bouncing off anybody's head. Oh, that's right. Sorry, such habit. Ready? As we release these little white doves, let the pain and your loss fly away with them. Let your love soar into heaven, being carried on these white wings, escorted by all the loved ones that have passed on before us. Let your sorrow go. Let the doves soar.
Well, thank you all for joining us today for our virtual Courage Walk. Hopefully we'll be back in person next year. Also, I want to remind everybody there are 3 baskets that we're auctioning off to raise money for the Courage Walk and the Courage Garden, and these can be found on the Lakewood Police Department Facebook page under the Courage Walk section. And you can bid on these items for the next 48 hours, and the highest bidder will be contacted on Monday to notify you. So I'd like to also thank our organizers today, the members of our victim advocate community who were so instrumental in arranging this special event once again. I'd like to thank the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department and their mounted posse for being here. Sheriff Schrader could not make it, but he sends his regards and wishes everyone the best. So thank you, Sheriff, for providing your posse here. And then on a special note, I'd like to thank Vista, congratulate her on her retirement. I first met Vista at Columbine High School on a really tragic day for our community, and I've admired her passion and her dedication ever since, and she's just a special person, and I'm glad we were able to honor her today. So thank you all for joining us. We wish you well and be safe and take care. Thank you.